Do you have behaviors that you want to change? Do you have patterns of thinking and habits that you have that you cannot break? Are you easily triggered and set off, but you don't know why? Today, we are going to give you 5 ways to renew your mind. All right. Today, we're going to give you the answers to how to renew your mind. I know it's a question that probably has been asked a million times over just by myself personally. But today, I've asked Frank Meadows from Chesapeake, Virginia, which I'm so thankful for technology, Frank, because you're able to be here with me. Frank is the founder of Meadows Healing Prayer Center. He's a licensed clinical social worker. Using his mind-renewing healing prayer, he has seen over 1,000 people have their memories broken off from the past, has healed triggers all the way down and up to the deepest roots of sexual abuse, all of these things. So no matter what your walk of life is, today, if you're struggling and you just want to be free from the past, you want to change the way you think, you don't want to be triggered, you have to lend an ear to Frank. He has done healing emotional seminars in Turkey, Africa, all through the U.S., and he's even worked with Heidi Baker and the Iris Ministry Harvest School. So I say all that, Frank, not just to puff you up, but to say we got to lend an ear, right? We have to hear the wisdom and the experience that Frank has in helping us renew our mind. So Frank, let's get right into it. You gave me these 5 things. We're going to go through them and share. Number 5, lie-based beliefs. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when I'm working with people in an inner healing setting, something I call mind renewing healing prayer, and I learned that from studying Theophostic for many years, and it's rooted in that. But a lie is what I call a lie-based core foundational belief. That is the core of it. That means what I've interpreted in my childhood. And let's say I was abused. Well, maybe my interpretation of that as a 7-year-old is that I'm dirty, bad, shameful. It's my fault, even though my logical mind knows that's not true. But we live from the 2 parts of our mind, a logical, rational room. We don't live from that place where I have facts, knowledge, data, where I reason, but down in the core foundational place of the subconscious, the place past memory containers are stored and housed. And that is the part we need to get to in renewing our mind.
Okay, awesome. So the bottom line for that is if you want to renew your mind, you have to go to the past because there's behaviors and there's ways that we function. And even though we may say, I'm just going to keep that separate, it's still holding some string towards the way that we function. So at number 4, you have desire versus will. Explain that to me.
Well, an important component of healing is you have to will to not receive it, number 1, but what I call your deepest will. I mean, I can outwardly say, yes, I'll do some work on healing or anything, but my deepest will has to be engaged because the subconscious is at work. For instance, if part of me is saying yes, and I may not even be aware, but some part of me, I use this analogy. One part of me is opening the door, saying, "Okay, we'll try that," but with a deeper, with more force. But I'm holding that door shut. Nothing's going to happen. But I may be unaware of and that's where my defense mechanisms come in. So my job is to engage you at the deepest level to do the work. That's for healing, deliverance, or really anything in life.
Okay. So as the person who's coming in, maybe reaching out to you or other ministries that do healing prayers to get to the root, the bottom line is you have to come to a place of surrender. I have to understand that there's going to be parts of me that's going to say, oh, no, we're not going there, because I've lived my life hiding certain things. And so what I hear you saying is you have to come into agreement that there's a part of you that desires this, but there's another part of me that loves having all this stuff just in secret. And again, it doesn't even need to be that I'm in some big, huge secret sin. It could just be, I just don't feel like rehashing the fact that I was insecure when I was young, or it doesn't matter what it is, right? There can be a resistance. We have to come surrendered and trusting the person. All right, great. So if you're just joining us, we are going over the 5 ways that you can renew your mind with Frank Meadows from Chesapeake, Virginia, who has been doing healing prayers to renew the mind for years. I just want to interrupt real quick and say, Frank has 2 books. First book he wrote was Jesus, Healer of the Brokenhearted. Excellent, excellent book. We're going to have links to this stuff on Amazon where you can learn more about this. You can see testimonies of people who have taken this advice that Frank is giving and it's changed their life. Frank's newest book, Jesus, Deliverer of the Brokenhearted, is out as well on Amazon. The link will be included. So a lot of what we're covering here, I'm just having Frank give me the surface of so that we can get you on your way today, but we encourage you to go deeper with that. So we have lie-based beliefs. We have to go to the back of our life and find out what's going on. We need to understand that we desire this, but there's some things deeper inside of us that are resisting this change. We need to identify what those are. Frank, the next thing that you share, number 3, is deliverance or healing. So explain that a little bit, what I could be looking forward to if I'm desiring to have my mind renewed.
Well, some people misunderstand the deliverance and healing concept. They occasionally people will call me and say, "Hey, can you do some deliverance with me?" And I say, "Well, yeah, I can do that, but that's not really what I do. Primarily, I do healing, a deep healing, and deliverance will happen in the context of the healing we do." And the problem is many times people are saying they're not connected to, there's some stuff in my heart, maybe wounds and hurts and lies that are in my heart. Can you just maybe I'm having fear. Maybe there's a spirit of fear. Can you pray that away? And I said, well, I maybe I could, but guess what? If we don't get rid of the root of it, it'll come back. It's like a rat, you can shoo away the rats from the garbage can, but they'll probably come back. The garbage is still there. The garbage is my lie, my wounds, my hurts, the things they feed on, so to speak. So people don't want to go and do the deeper work. It's like saying, would you like to feel better physically? Yeah, of course I do. Do you want to have the surgery? I'm not sure about that.
Right.
We all want to feel better. But there's a little bit of an emotional surgery, so to speak. It's not that it's that painful,
right?
But we have to go there and look at stuff, feel stuff. But if we'll do that, that's how we get set free. And deliverance does happen in the context, but there are specific things in that context that need delivered. And if that arises, like soul ties, vows, curses, judgments, generational curses, occult practice, etc., I will deal with that.
So your mind renewing healing prayer, again, you address them in your books. It is your theme. It is a key element to renewing the mind. So tell us about this prayer.
Well, it's something I've been doing for 21 years, and I've seen thousands and thousands of memories completely healed, even sexual trauma. I've probably seen 20,000 of those completely healed using this process. As the last point, free will and choice, as people choose to do that. I can help you choose, but I cannot choose for you. But in that process, and simple, I'll just give you I just invite the Holy Spirit. I have you feel your emotions for a few minutes, and I have you get out of your head, your logic analysis, and feel your body. Half the time, tension, tightness. your body, we think of a memory as a visual image, but I'm having emotional memories all the time. That's what a trigger is, an emotional overreaction. I'm having physical memories too. We don't think of it as that. Maybe I'm having if you're having anxiety, you're having heart palpitations, shortness of breath. I have you just feel that and allow your mind just to go where it goes, drift back, leave the present. As memories come across your mental screen, and most things are rooted in childhood, there could be some things on the way down where that's been reenacted, but the root places tend to be in childhood. I have you walk through the memory. For instance, an abuse victim, let's take that. That's a harder thing. Let's say you're 7, you're being molested, you feel shame, you feel terrified, you feel powerless, you feel fear, you feel it's your fault, usually feel bad. I ask them questions. A trigger leads to the belief. I'm scared. Why? Something bad's going to happen. I feel guilty. Why? Because I'm bad. It's my fault. And I simply walk through the memory, anchor you in that. Let's say I'm 7, feel as a 7-year-old, not as the 40-year-old. And I simply ask Jesus through the Holy Spirit what he wants you to know, and have you report what you see, sense, or hear as I bring up each belief. Well, I feel bad. That's my fault. Jesus, what do you want little Susie to know? And Jesus says it's not my fault. Now I could tell, or maybe he does something physically, you see him do something, or you sense, or all the above. But when he does it, I could tell you the same thing 1,000 times. You will not get it there. But when he does the slightest thing and you're open, free will, you just get it. And all of a sudden I get a revelation. Here's the cool thing. Once I get it in the core foundational memory place, it uploads to the to your current life. That's the goal. And things start shifting. And anyway, it's more involved, but that's just a hangnail sketch of it.
So, the reality of it is, Frank, I love what you're doing, and you are impacting everywhere that you go. There are lots of ministries. I'm a part of a ministry where we believe in the power of having Jesus show up and speak the truth. The scripture says that the truth will set us free. A lot of times we mistake facts and truth. So we think if we just keep reciting facts, that means truth, and I'm not free. No, what you're describing, what lots of ministries that are doing inner healing is that exact principle. They're asking Jesus to come in and speak the truth to that you are not shameful, that you are beautiful, and get to a place where we can agree with that truth, what Jesus has said is what sets us free. And so the mind renewing healing prayer for the ministry I'm involved in, we call that unreeling, where you're going to that scene in your life and you're having Jesus invited to come in and speak the truth to it, will absolutely change your life. So I believe that partnering with somebody like your ministry, these ministries where people are skilled to walk you through this, is a huge part of mind renewal. In order to actually walk in this and get this process, partnering with somebody who's helping you do this is a huge, crucial part. So again, I love all the different personalities. We're going to get to point number 5, but I love all the different personalities and how God is raising up people to do this, because some people may connect with your approach, Frank. Some might connect with my approach. The goal is our desires to see people healed and to know that the enemy's lies over you can be broken. Love your books. Jesus Deliverer, Jesus Healer. He wants to heal us. He wants to set us free. So, Frank, your 5th way, and maybe even this is a sign that you need somebody else. The goal, I think, in these 5 ways is to understand you may need to try a different approach. You may have been trying to do this on your own, like you stated, but these are also 5 ways to know something deeper is going on beneath the hood. So let's talk about number 5. You say triggers. They're the pathway to healing. Explain that to me, because most of us are playing whack-a-mole with our triggers. We're trying to just stop them.
Yeah, and if we're taking medication, I'm not against medication, but sometimes I'm against taking medication for 10 years and I've never tried to heal. Let's say I'm having anxiety. Well, a trigger is a emotional, painful response a trigger is an emotional overreaction
Mm.
to a here and now situation. And we all do it every day, probably. We all do it. And that just means that that's what we medicate. You know, we mood alter with it. We drink, we get high. People use food,
Hmm.
eating disorders, codependency, caretaking, and they don't even know they're doing it. They just we just do it. But if
Right.
you stop and pay attention to your triggers, that to me is a signal that, okay, what's that about for me? You know, not I can blame it on somebody else, but I have to say my reaction is mine, and I need to get some healing prayer at that point in time. And so, you know, like let's say anxiety. I had a lady that I focused on her anxiety, and she uh, she had a fear of tunnels and heights. And when I prayed with her, she came from New England to see me several years ago. And as we focused on terror of going over a bridge, she had 3 of them when she came down to see me. And as she focused on that, she drops into the memory. She's 8 years old. And I hear her saying, "Oh, no, not that, not that," about 10 times. Her mother was an alcoholic, and she was leaving home because mother was scaring her with a little brother, and she saw a bridge as she's walking. She sees a bridge, and nothing else there. And we focused on that feeling, and all of a sudden there was a guy on the bridge, and she knew him. He was an older friend of her sister's, and she drops into a memory she had not remembered in probably 40 years, where she was being molested by this guy the day before next to a store, on the side of a store. Had not remembered it at all. As the Lord healed it, I won't go into the process to healing, but as the Lord brought truth and all the pain went away, she forgave him, released her rage or anger. And I said, let's walk back. How does the bridges feel in that memory? How does it feel, the 3 bridges you came over? She'd been having this terrible time for years, her whole life. Peaceful and calm. I said, call me, and when you drive back to New England, and when you get over the 3 bridges. And she called me. How are you doing? I'm fine, no problems. And 4 months later, I talked to her, peace and calm, no more problem with heights.
Mm.
Now, she had no idea that's what it was. She just felt terrified, triggered when she went over a bridge. And I've had lots of memories, things like that happen. Now, it's not just anxiety. It could be shame. It could be abandonment. It could be powerlessness. There's different themes where we get triggered. But anyway, that's a brief, it's how I use to get to the memory. And it's I always say it's like the police song. It's a message in a bottle. It's sending out an SOS. Your brain is going,
Yes.
this feels familiar. Your defenses are gone. I don't think so. But if you pay attention to it, you'll be surprised what comes up.
Right. So, I mean, the bottom line and what we're sharing with you, again, with Frank Meadows, who is got a bunch of different letters after his name, and he's been doing this for a long time. Recently wrote his 2nd book, Jesus, Deliverer of the Brokenhearted. This is 5 ways to renew your mind. It could be 5 ways to know you need your mind renewed, and 5 things that you can expect during true mind renewal, having a new way of thinking. And I'm going to just close and appreciating what you just shared, Frank, because I think the problem is a lot of us have learned to live subpar. And we're going to do another video. And so you can, we'll follow along with what Frank and I talk about, but he addresses symptoms and he addresses managing the pain. And he addresses these things where, again, a lot of us are diagnosing symptoms. We're trying to problem solve why we don't like bridges, and we have no idea that it's actually connected to something else. If you want to walk in true renewal, you have to be willing to face the lies of the past. You have to understand that there's going to be a conflict. There's going to be moments when you're just going to want out of this process. You have to understand that it's going to go deep. It just isn't waving a wand. There are deeper rooted issues. You need to understand that you're going to walk through a prayer time, and when it's done with the love of God, you will feel the presence of Jesus. And you need to understand that your triggers are going to be the first way to start to identify how to do all of that stuff. So thank you, Frank, for joining us.